The peace process between the FARC and the Colombian government has run into fresh obstacles. The FARC says the government is wasting time by approving a proposed referendum to give the voters final approval over any peace plan. The guerrilla group, which has been arguing for a constituent assembly instead, insists that both sides should decide at the peace talks on the rules for how any final agreement should be approved. In September, both parties set a 6-month deadline to reach a final accord, but the FARC has warned that they may not reach an agreement by that time.
This is the case with the so-called Statutory Law 94 of 2015 dealing with the referendum on peace. This is a rather strange and exotic initiative, which has never been discussed by those of us who are responsible for drawing up the mechanisms by which a final peace agreement would be approved. We reject it, not only because nobody was consulted, but because of all the peace-related proposals currently before Congress. This is the most inappropriate.
The peace talks have incorporated delegates from the Broad Front for Peace, which is a coalition of social movements and political leaders, which supports the peace process. The group is backing efforts that can lead to a bilateral ceasefire.
Firstly, we want to reiterate our positive balance sheet of the unilateral ceasefire put into effect by the FARC-EP and the suspension of airstrikes by the armed forces. During the last few months, as observers, we have received calls from various communities and other sections of society asking for the measures to continue, for the army to cease its operations, and for a bilateral ceasefire to be declared as soon as possible. Secondly, the positive experience of these 6 unilateral ceasefires declared by the guerrillas means that we are redoubling efforts and measures to secure the latest ceasefire, which has been holding since July this year.
We propose the creation of a support commission to de-escalate the conflict, made up of personalities and organizations that will be contacted by the social oversight body. This commission should monitor on the ground the areas where the unilateral ceasefire is at risk.